Hello, friends. This is Kim Wright Sebrel with your housing market update for October 2022. We're reporting looking back, usually at September, the month before, but this time I thought we would take a little different kind of look. So, what you're seeing here is actually a Virginia report. So, I've talked about this a lot in the past, which is that real estate is super hyper local, although we all are always watching the news, which sometimes isn't super local, right? It could be about Virginia, it could be about the nation. And what's happening in the nation is not always what's happening right here in Virginia or Richmond or even in your little neighborhood. And that's what we're finding. But I thought it'd be kind of an interesting tilt to kind of look at what is happening in Virginia and economics and housing. And many people are talking about this. And so I thought this is kind of a cool thing to take a look at. So the Virginia housing market is cooling down in 2022, right? It's on track to have one of its sharpest drops in sales activity in more than a decade. And here's why, because we had such a sharp increase, right? So not so concerned about the kind of, hey, we're kind of flattening out because we just had some of the biggest gains that we've ever seen in the real estate market ever. So the market slowdown is being driven by mortgage rates, rising mortgage rates. So inflation was high. The Fed has kind of pumped the brakes and is wants to push out, they say, over 1 million buyers out of the market. So you do that by raising rates, right? And so rates are going up now. So they're a little bit higher than normal. But, I have to kind of not laugh, but my first home, I think my mortgage rate was like 6.5. We thought that was like an amazing rate. Now everyone at 6.5 is crying their eyes out. So, right, it's all in perspective. What goes up must come down. So mortgage rates are still rising. We do have some prices, tight inventory. I would say prices are kind of stagnating right now. So all of these are kind of leaving some buyers on the sidelines, right? We don't have much as inventory. The rates are higher. It's kind of pushing some people out of the market. What we're finding on our team, though, is that buyers that are sticking with it are really getting houses. They're not struggling. There's no competition, and they might be getting a little bit of a higher rate, but the housing prices right now are just not soft, but they're just not as strong. So maybe they only have to offer the asking price. Whereas if there was competition, they may be having to offer more. So buyers now, I feel like, are getting a little bit better of a deal. Sellers are still getting that kind of full price offer, with the caveat of that it's been priced correctly. We have a lot of mispriced homes in the market right now. So you see some things dropping, and that may just because they started off really high. They were what we are called pushing the market. If the last house, for example, sells for 300, in the past, the agent might be like, let's shoot for 310, let's shoot for 315, right? We were seeing really big jumps in the market. Well, now if the last hole sold for 300, yours is probably going to sell for 300, right? Still a good price. Well, maybe not if your home is not worth 300, but you get the point. Um, so we're also going to see some projected. So they're saying that some of this, the trend we see is that in 2023, which I think is so interesting, is that the demand for new homes has softened a little bit, mostly because we do have a lot of new construction on the market here in Richmond. That is true for us. Housing starts have started to dip, so we have seen in construction less homes being started. That's a trend that they think will continue into next year. Mortgage rates have risen really quickly in 2022, and they're likely to hover in the kind of 6% range, but they're expecting by the end of the year, probably towards the end of 2023, for those to start to recede. So they're going to start to drop again. So, for instance, for myself, I just bought a second rental property. I'm paying a higher rate. I'm doing an ARM, a 7-year ARM. The rates are going to drop in the next 7 years. I'll refinance. So I feel comfortable doing that. Maybe not everyone else does, but rates are projected to come down. So this was kind of just a really interesting look at what's happening in Virginia. I think in general, the Richmond market is following this trend. Still a strong market. It's just such a change from what we've been used to. This like breakneck speed we've been talking about. Now we've got a little bit of a cool down. I think it's kind of returning to pre-COVID, and that's what we're seeing across the board too here in Richmond. Hope this is helpful. If you have questions, you want to discuss more numbers, I'm always up for that. So give me a call. My number is 804 539 7524.